Brought to you by Penguin.
Parallel Lines by Edward St. Aubyn. Read by Benedict Cumberbatch. Chapter 1. What made the countryside countryside, thought Sebastian, a city boy born and bred, going very fast now, was the enormous gaps between the buildings, the gaping wounds, the wasted space, a rabbit twitching its way through the wet grass, or a desperate squirrel flinging itself from branch to branch could not explain all that green, unpleasant land. Sword in my hand, there must be an invisible city there, a bombed-out city, full of incandescent ghosts, men, women, and children rushing about like human torches, passing on their torment to the innocent woodland creatures, making rabbits hobble and squirrels take flight, going screwy, chasing their tails around a trunk, rapid stabbing motion all over his chest. He could also see through the reinforced glass. He wished he was reinforced glass. A herd of cows dotted across a nearby hill, their brown and white hides waiting for the tanners to turn them into shoes. They weren't fleeing or limping because they were tethered by their appetites, wrenching roots from the ground with a twist of their stooped heads and juicing the grass with their slow, rotating jaws, masturbating, milked for all they were worth. Sometimes the sound of tearing roots was so loud he had to block his ears and hum to himself, "Those shoes in ancient times." Cows needed 3 or 4 stomachs to rip apart the tough fabric of the universe, to break down the cellulites or cellophane or cellmates. There was a word for it, the cell phones that bound everything together. A cow could stomach anything, any amount of connectivity. He wished he could stomach anything at all, but he couldn't digest his own thoughts. They came so thick and fast. Another huge plus about being a cow was that you got to be humanely slaughtered, which explained why there weren't any cows in this hospital, pacing up and down day and night, working out how to top themselves. They had it all arranged for them. It was a package deal, a luxury holiday being a grass-fed cow. A cow-fed cow got mad cow disease, and who could blame them? It was like crashing in the Andes and having to eat your fellow passengers enough to drive anyone round the bend. Dr. Carr said the hospital was a temporary measure, but everything was a temporary measure when you thought about it, with the possible exception of death, unless you were Tibetan or whatever, and thought that death only lasted as long as a summer holiday, and then you came back again, wishing you'd had enough stomachs to stomach the whole thing. It was a package deal with life on either side, spitting you out one end and devouring you another. Going very fast now, there was a bobsleigh called a skeleton where you went head first. That's what he was on, a skeleton, hurtling downhill head first, and even if he topped himself, he would soon be hurtling back down again, after a confusing summer holiday in St. Bardo, the island of your nightmares, down into a family of absolute cunts whose only plan was to wire you up to be a suicide bomber, hurtling down with very early Alzheimer's, not remembering a thing about the last time he was squeezed out of his temporary mother's fleshy body like a sharp little olive stone, left to dry on a saucer before being chucked in the bin. That's where he was now, in the bin, under observation. Dr. Carr said he would visit him again in the suicide observation room. It was a stupid name for this naked little room with nothing in it to help you on your way, not so much as a box of matches or a curtain cord. With a name like that, you would have thought it would be stuffed with pistols and daggers and grenades and cyanide capsules, so that people who liked observing suicide had something to look forward to. Modern life being what it was, ever accelerating, you couldn't expect them to hang about waiting. Or maybe the observers liked to set a challenge. This room was beyond a challenge, though. It was bloody ridiculous. Even if he ran his skeleton headfirst into the wall, he could only knock himself out trying. "Go on, knock yourself out trying," said an observer. They were probably lounging at home watching him on TV, saying in their dead posh voices, "I wonder if he'll find a way. The last one bit his own tongue off and bled to death. And the one before that inhaled her own food and managed to choke silently. Such discipline, such gusto. Bravo! Bravissimo!" "I had to bite my tongue so hard I practically bit it off," his fake mum used to say every time her sense of outrage was provoked, which was every time she left the house. When she stayed at home, she didn't bite her tongue, she spoke her mind or pursed her lips. "This one is simply dreadful," said Dead Posh. "He's either staring at the cows through a shatterproof window, or being stared at through a shatterproof door." "By that fat cow!" Sebastian shouted, swivelling around to see if he could catch her observing him through the strip in the door. He was encircled by cows. He was being cattle-prodded from all sides. "Oh, God! Let's watch Sharia law," said a vicious viewer. "Or the Euthanasia channel. Even someone sipping barbs in Zurich surrounded by adoring relatives is better than this dire episode." He was being a dire episode. He wasn't just having a dire episode, he was being one this time. "We've upgraded you from a classic having room to one of our superior being rooms," he lisped, like that Spanish receptionist at the resort hotel where his fake parents had booked a family holiday the August after his first episode. When they were all shown the special room, he could hear his fake mum's
Sample complete. Ready to continue?